first MRI showed nothing. The second MRI showed nothing. Finally, the third MRI showed a benign tumor in the middle of his back, which required immediate surgery. And probably for one of the first times in his life, my dad was really scared. You see, my dad had actually been a city championship wrestler, and also he had been quite known for his skills in the barroom brawling back in the days when he was growing up in Minneapolis. So he was this tough guy, but he was so scared, in fact, that he considered he actually updated his will and considered selling his house. So it all started back. My dad had, back when in the fall, he had a fall, and he ended up trying to pick something up, and he had a fall, and when he got it, the next day he started complaining of his knees being weak. And so we actually sent him to his chiropractor, and I did some rehab with him, but nothing was working, and he just continued to get weaker and weaker. And it just, the weaker he got, the more frightened he got. We're like, what's going to happen to my health? And that's when we sent him through the MRIs. When we finally got him through the MRIs and figured out what was wrong, he got through it and he was better, but he was very, very weak. And you got to know one thing about my dad. My dad loves to hunt. So my dad actually has a deer camp he's been hosting for 60 years, and he was able to go up, but for the first time in 60 years, he was not able to hunt. And I know it killed him to watch everybody going out to go hunting as he stayed back in the cabin, and that was really a tipping point for him. So when we got back from deer opener, he decided he didn't want to miss another hunting trip. And you see there's 2 Super Bowls my dad has. The deer hunting trip is one. The second one is in the spring. In April is our South Dakota trip, and it's a turkey hunting trip in the Black Hills. So he didn't want to miss that. So he asked me to help him get his strength and balance back so he could go on that trip. So we began to train. And for the first time in his life, he actually listened to me. And he actually not only listened to me, he did above and beyond what I asked of him. He actually came in on his days off to do some treadmill workouts to get his endurance back so he could walk and hike, which was required for hunting. Oh yeah, there's times my dad, being my dad, he questioned the process and argued with me, but I reassured him to trust the process. And over time, those next few months, little by little, my dad was able to see progress. He was able to see his endurance increase. His balance improved, his strength got better, and he got to the point where he was actually feeling confident enough in his physical ability that he did a little test run. He went out on a pheasant hunting excursion with one of his friends where he was able to go out and walk the fields a little bit. So by the time our South Dakota trip rolled around, my dad was not only ready, he was the first one to get a turkey. And if you know anything about the Black Hills, that requires hiking and moving up and down hills, so it was a very physically challenging trip. And it was cool to see that whole process because, watching my dad go from that walker to walking the Black Hills in a matter of months. We're talking from November into April. And so what I learned from that experience is there's really 3 things that watching my dad go from point A to point B is. Number 1, my dad being 80 years old, overweight and out of shape. Doesn't matter where you're at, you can accomplish anything with a strong purpose or goal. And if you have that in front of you, and especially I would recommend writing it down and keep it in front of you, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you can get there. Number 2 is having a good coach or guide is essential to accomplish any goal that seems very daunting or almost impossible. And so my dad being, leaning on me because I have a background in neurological training when it comes to personal training, and I have a lot of corrective exercise skill, leaned on me, and I helped him get there a lot quicker than he would have done probably trying to do things on his own if he even would have gotten there at all. And number 3, any big goal that's really truly worth it requires discipline, hard work, consistency, and also change. My dad had to change some of his bad habits and switch them out for some good ones. He had to eat better. He had to take time doing things that take time that he normally would have done things he wanted to do the things he needed to do to get to where he wanted to be. And so I'm very proud of my dad for going from that point A to point B because he still continues. He learned his lesson. He continues to do his exercises with me twice a week so he can enjoy his number 2 passion, which is working in the yard, because he realizes that a little physical maintenance, doing some work just consistently week to week, really it's not about being in the gym, which is not what his favorite thing is, but it allows him to do the things he enjoys outside of the gym and live a higher quality of life.